This movie stinks. I know, shocker. I mean, it's pretty nice animation-wise during certain sequences, and it does in fact tell a story. Somewhat. I mean, it's more like a sequence of disjointed events, really. And despite what the title and cover of the DVD might lead one to believe, there's an overwhelming lack of pirates in this film. In fact, pirates being in this film only happens for about a tenth of the film's total runtime, and naturally, they have no impact on the plot whatsoever. Speaking of which, let's start off by talking about that plot. The plot of this movie is lazy with capital L. I'll start off by describing what happens without asking really any questions about anything that's happening, and then afterwards we'll go through and see why so much of this film isn't even worthy of being addressed as a film. We start off by meeting a beach officer whose name is Marco, and we see him looking at a picture of him as a child. He then puts on a necklace ex machina. I'll explain what I mean by this later. He's hired by what appears to be a dictator simply referred to as the president. We are then introduced to Lulu, who's the old love interest from Marco's childhood. The movie sets up a possible romance between them and shows us Lulu's talents.
Fine. And he'll do anything.
Which is apparently to record sounds, remix them, and then do a really impressive dance. Marco is really impressed with this, but then, because plot, a child monkey steals the necklace ex machina from Marco and makes him run along down to the beach. This is just in time for Marco to see a casino being dropped off at the beach. Marco and Lulu both look at this casino being constructed live in front of their faces. When Marco wants to report this, as is his job, Lulu encourages him to go take a look for himself out of curiosity. Why she wants him to do this or why Marco does this is never explained beyond him being a total pushover, and Lulu being whatever the writer needs to make the plot move along. I'll also talk about this later. This is when we meet our next character in the film, Carlo. Carlo identifies himself as the owner of the casino. By the way, he totally isn't the villain. Marco immediately wants to know what his deal is and asks for a construction permit. Carlo dismisses him. And where you might think Lulu would maybe be kind of weirded out to step in, as she's established as Marco's friend in this film by this point, she does nothing, really. And as soon as Carlo mentions there being shows in his casino, she forgets everything about her being friends with Marco, physically pushes him aside to show Carlo her amazing talent. And not only does Carlo welcome her aboard the show, he takes a liking to her. This is communicated through this amazing scene. Then later in another scene where Marco looks like a complete stalker, he accidentally falls into the plot when he falls through the window of the casino. And the room that he falls into is because of a little cartoon that's playing on the TV in the room, recognized by Marco to be the control room of a giant robot. The giant robot being the casino itself. Why this cartoon is playing in the control room and why it exists in the first place is beyond me. Who knows, maybe Carlo just forgets his plan every time he leaves the room. Carlo then stumbles into the control room and he's like, oh, this is just a big misunderstanding. Then Marco exposes Carlo. Carlo admits that it is indeed a robot, but he says it's a bodyguard robot. Everyone, and I mean everyone, is more willing to believe Carlo than they are to believe Marco, even though they earlier sang a song about how great he is. And I'll get into there being songs in this movie later too. Yeah. Carlo, again, has a cartoon prepared that showed this robot in action. The president fires Marco. Marco then desperately tries to reason with the president, but ends up knocking him over, and the president orders for him to be arrested. Marco runs out of the casino through Lulu's changing room, and tells her that they need to get out of there. But she's pissed that he had interrupted her performance earlier by dragging Carlo into the room, and then tasing him several times. Then a kind of cool looking chase sequence happens, which ends up with Marco being chased off the island, and landing on top of a log in the ocean. Then pirates. Don't worry, I'll go in depth with this in a few moments. Whilst Marco is faffing about, Carlo initiates his plan. That being, going to the top of the hill where the president's plaza lays, push it off the cliff in favor of his casino being there, and make everyone party forever by using a mecha robot weed laser. Why he wants to do this, I'll explain later. Eventually, Marco finds his way back to the island, where he's initially crushed by the giant robot, but ends up winning by using the robot's mega weed laser against itself, which in turn makes Carlo go crazy. All the mega weed laser affected monkeys get non-high when they get zapped by the weed ball, and Marco and Lulu live happily ever after. Now I on purpose left some stuff out there, but don't worry, I'll get into it now. Let's start with the pirates.
Yarg.
Now you may be wondering why this film's called Primates of the Caribbean, and it's about a beach officer. Well, as I told earlier, there is in fact pirates in this film, but they're merely a footnote in the greater picture, and are in fact only in about a tenth of the film's total runtime, which with only 1 hour and 12 minutes of runtime, that equals about a little over 7 minutes. So how did this title come into existence then? Here's the scoop. It turns out that this is actually a Danish film, which title was originally the same as our main character's name, that being Marco Macaco. Swooping in comes 4 films, a Canadian film distributor mostly known for having been in a legal dispute with Disney surrounding the film Frozen Land. Originally named The Legend of Zorilla, The Legend of Zorilla had on its cover used a font which was nearly identical to that of Frozen. Disney settled for $100,000 and a recall of all existing copies of Frozen Land, and no further infringement of their trademark. So naturally, when they saw that this movie was a real stinker, they immediately decided to name it after one of Disney's most well-known franchises. As far as I can tell, there hasn't been a lawsuit over this one, but apparently they most probably got a slap on the wrist, as they later changed the title again to Primates of the Seven Seas. The pirates' actual function in the movie is to take Marco once he escapes off the island, try to make him forget everything about Lulu, and they tell him how much of a simp he is. But it turns out that they're all simps themselves, every single one of those wants a girlfriend. Then they sing the worst song that I've ever heard, they do a fake out on being important for the story, then they do nothing. And they sing another song at the end of the film. So yeah, the title being what it is actually just due to a very scummy company. Let's move on. Oh, fun extra fact. The costume Marco appears in on the DVD cover is never actually in the movie. Believe me, I had to watch it 5 times. Somehow it still makes more sense than the villain's plan though. As mentioned earlier, Carlo's plan for this entire movie is to kidnap all the monkeys of the island with his mega casino robot and have an everlasting party. Now I also said in that same paragraph that I would explain for what reason he wants to do this, but I lied. Not because I don't want to, but there's just no reason to why he's doing any of this. He literally does it just cause. On top of this, the execution makes no sense. Instead of just attacking the island, kidnapping everyone and shooting them with the mega robot weed laser from the get-go, and then planting himself atop the mountain, he instead opts for tricking everyone into believing that he's your friendly neighborhood casino owner, then tells everyone that the casino is a giant robot for reasons that my tiny brain just can't seem to comprehend. Then have the power source of said robot flown in by helicopter, then climb to the top of the mountain whilst being shot at. Now if he did this to have the element of surprise, so that he wouldn't be shot at, then first of all, it didn't work. But secondly, it still wouldn't make any sense as he gets shot at, but the robot is completely unaffected. Anyways, then he captures the president and keeps him alive for no reason. Then he one by one shoots every last one of the primates with his mega robot weed laser, that by the way takes as long to charge as the plot needs. Again, he's no reason to do any of this. The film kind of tries to play this off as him trying to get with Lulu, but it wouldn't make any sense either, since he only met Lulu after arriving on the island. So in conclusion, Carlo's motivation changes from non-existent to him wanting Lulu, and so on. I don't really have a lot to say, and the deeper I get into writing the script, the more I realize I could have left this film at "it sucks," and then the outro would play. But I'm too deep now anyways, so let's wrap this up with a final point and then my conclusion. I've told you that pirates sing songs throughout this movie, and that there was one song that was sung about Marco in the start of the movie. These aren't the only songs in the film though. It's a musical. After having written this sentence, I got sad, so now we're moving on. So yeah, this movie sucks. Whilst I don't blame the director for the badly translated title, I will never forgive him. Yet I hope he had fun making this film, and I hope that you all enjoyed watching this review of this film. Cause I sure didn't like watching this film. If you'd like to see more from me, please consider making that subscribe button spell out subscribed and ring the notification bell. This has been all from me, see you next time.